welcome to You and I podcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jude.
And we're going to be talking about red flags, red flags. Shout out Chris Brown, if you know, you know. Anyway, but before we get into today's topic, we are going to share with you guys that you need to hit that notification bell right now. If you like content from a married couple that has been together for 11 years, married 11 years, together for
13 years.
He's a number man. He's a making. Anyway, if you like real content from two real people that are going to give you level-headed advice, we're not going to steer you in the wrong direction, you need to subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell too, so you know when we post new videos. Anyway, but before we get into the top 6 red flags, the reason why we made this video is because red flags are thrown out, that term is thrown out so much now. Like, even in like the comment section, you know, people post a little video and people will post little red flags, right? But what is a red flag to you? What's a red flag for you?
So for me, it's like as I mentioned, like a stop sign or a warning sign. Like, it's basically flag on the play. You guys know in football, when there's a flag on the play, there's a penalty, it's halt. You know, stop everything.
Yeah.
So I really feel like that's what it is. It's kind of like a warning sign of, okay, this may not be a good thing.
Yeah, you might need to pump your brakes a little bit. For me, a red flag, whenever I hear a red flag, I always think of my brother, my stepbrother, Rocky. Shout out to him. He used to always say this term. At one point, we lived together for a short period of time, for about maybe 2 years, I think. For about 2 years, we lived together. And he used to always be like, put them antennas up. I got my antennas up. He used to always be like, you got them antennas up, right? Like, basically he's saying like, be aware. Put your head on a swivel is like what you hear now. Like, be aware, like what you're seeing could be a potential red flag. And a red flag for me is basically, like my husband said, it's a warning sign. It's something that happens in relationship that if it's happening, you need to be aware and you need to know that this could potentially be something that's very toxic and you need to turn the other way because it's not going to end well. So, like I said, we made our top 6 red flags. We talked about what we think are the top 6 red flags in a relationship. Number 1, let's get into it. Isolation is the number 1. I wanted that one first because a lot of times in abusive relationships, the abuser will isolate the other party, the victim, right? And it doesn't have to always be physical abuse. When you think abuse, you think somebody putting their hands on somebody, right? But a lot of times, red flags can be mental abuse. And mental abuse is just as severe as physical abuse. It's not putting wounds on your body that people can see, but mentally it's something that the person is doing to mess up your psyche. So I would say isolation is a big indication that this person is not a good fit for you, because if they don't want you around your friends, if they don't want you around your family members, and they want you all by yourself, it's probably because they want to have a lot of control over what you do. Because they know the more people are around you, if they start seeing red flags, you know, and they love you, they're going to communicate that to you. And they're going to tell you, hey, girl, like, I don't like the way he's talked to you. I don't like the way she talked to you. Like, you need to, like, you know, think about that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Isolation is definitely one of the ways, especially, like I said, in any type of abuse or relationships. Usually that's like one of the first things that they try to do is isolate you from friends, family, anybody that's close to you, so that, like you said, you're unaware, because the main thing is self-awareness. And sometimes when you're in love, you're not aware because you only see the good in that person, even if there is some flaws. But when you have that friend, or that close friend, or that close family member, or family members or friends, they're going to point out those small things that you may be overlooking because you love the person. Because when you're in love with somebody, you're going to probably overlook. Yeah, especially the small things. You're going to overlook.
Right. I would say I've had an experience, because you know I'm very transparent about my past. I won't name names, but I've had experiences with this situation where I was in a relationship with someone, and when I wanted to go home, it was a problem. Like, I'm like, I don't want to stay tonight. I'm going to go home. It was a problem, like a big problem. And it became an argument whenever I wanted to go home. And looking back at it now, I realized that that was a sign of mental abuse. If you're in a situation and your partner just like gives you a hard time of going home, or like even with friends, like it was times where I remember one specific time, one of my friends was having a birthday, and it was like my best friend, like I grew up with since 7th grade. She was having a birthday, and I wanted to go, celebrate her, I think it's her 21st birthday. And it was like my person I was in a relationship at the time made me feel so guilty, because I stood my ground and I went, but that person made me feel so guilty for like going to my best friend's birthday party. Like it was ridiculous and it was a lot of things. Like anytime I wanted to go do things with friends, it was a problem. It was just like he really wanted to isolate me as much as possible because he wanted to have a lot of control over me. And, it was just not a good situation. So, yeah, if you're in a situation like that, run. Like, I don't know what else to say. But get up out of there, because it did not end well. I'm just going to say that. It didn't end well, but it was definitely a learning experience. Definitely a learning experience. You want to hit 2?
Yeah, so the second red flag is not to talk about certain topics. So if you're trying to avoid certain topics, which I'm probably the total opposite of that. As you guys know, in the last video, she talked about not going to sleep angry and wanting to handle things. I'm very like, let's get down to business. When I'm in a relationship, like no topic is off the table.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to handle things right then and there. But I definitely think that that's definitely a red flag if you can't talk about certain things. Like you talked about not, wanting to go home or any type of situation, whatever that situation is, because I really feel like one of the big things with me and my wife, but then girlfriend, is just being able to talk about anything and not being upset with it. Like I know in today's world, it's like, let me see the phone. Yeah. That's one of the things that women would like to do, is go through their man's phone for whatever reason. And that was
you gotta go through his phone, girl.
Right.
Go ahead and get rid of him.
But at the same time, it shouldn't be an argument either.
That's true.
Because my wife could see my phone when she knew my code to unlock my phone. We were dating. I had nothing to hide. I could leave, get up and go to the restroom and not have to take my phone with me. Mm-hmm. I could be at the dinner table, whatever, or I didn't have to worry about let me make sure I have my phone on me at all times, because I don't want her to go through my phone.
Yeah. I would say not wanting to talk about certain topics is a red flag, because the person is trying to avoid hard topics. Like, for example, if they don't want to ever talk about money, or whenever you bring up money, it's like, I got this, I don't want it. But if you want to be in a relationship with someone, that's something relevant to talk about. Not saying that you have to know, because if you're not married, let me kind of say that too. If you're not married to the person, then there should be some boundaries. Like, you should not be like, in my opinion, you should not have, your boyfriend should have no access to your bank account. Girlfriend should have no access to your bank account. Now, if you want to give them money or you want to gift them things, that's one thing. But what I'm saying is talking about money. Yeah. Like if you're planning on getting married to someone and they want to keep all their finances hush-hush, that's a problem, because eventually you're going to combine your finances. So you should be able to talk about, what's your credit score? What are your financial goals? Like, those are things that the other person should be willing to communicate about. And like, I would say even like arguments, right? Because sometimes like I've been in situations where I felt like I was kind of like tiptoeing around, not with him, but like tiptoeing around certain topics, because I know that even though I'm feeling a way about something, if I bring it to the person's attention, it's going to be a problem. Right. Like, I could never have feelings about, like, okay, I didn't like the way you did this. Right. Right? You know what I mean? Like, I can talk to my husband, like, you really hurt my feelings when you said this. Mm-hmm. And we can have a level-headed, conversation about it and we can talk through it. But if it's a red flag if when you bring up your feelings to someone and it somehow turns on you and you become the problem, or the person is not even willing to just like address whatever it is and they want to like blow up and like, you always tripping, you tripping, da 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 da. No, like I feel a way.
Right.
And we need to talk about the way that I feel. If you don't like that I feel a way, then don't be with me, because
Right.
I'm not an emotionless person.
Right.
I'm going to get upset with you, and that's okay. You just as well get upset with me, and that's okay. We can have that conversation, but beware when the person does not want to have conversations
Right.
about feelings and disagreements.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You agree?
And I feel like another conversation is big conversation in this situation is like going out. I know dating, like going out to clubs and staying out a certain time of night, and I know that could be another thing that's like really big when you talk
Yeah.
about not wanting to have the conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of men and women don't like to have that conversation. That usually can blow up, but it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, eventually if you're going to take your relationship further, if you're used to not having to deal with the conversation, it's going to come up later in your relationship. Even if you eventually get married, if you haven't experienced, and that's the problem when you talk about being married, it's like, if you haven't talked about the important conversations when you were dating, how are you going to be comfortable enough to talk about it married?
Yeah.
People don't make, it's common sense. People act like once you get married and you get a ring and you get in front of the pastor and get married, that's going to change your behavior.
Yeah.
Like certain stuff kind of gotta be rehearsed and practiced prior to. So it's like, I feel like you said, a lot of these red flags that we're talking about, it's like it has to be talked about prior to. It's not going to be something that you're going to be comfortable talking about once you're married.
Yeah.
If you haven't had those conversations.
I
when
would
you were
say, like, to piggyback off of what you just said, like, and I know we didn't actually write this one down, but this could be a red flag too. Does the person's behavior match the intention? And what I mean by that is, if they're saying they want you to be their wife or whatever, is he acting like a husband?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know, like, granted, what I mean by that is like, you can't say you want me to be your wife, but you run in the streets with your boys till 3 a.m. every night, and you're not calling, you're not checking in. And I mean, frequently. Like, it's one thing to go out with your guys or whatever. You're going to have friends. You shouldn't cut off your friends. But if you're out all hours of the night, you're not coming home until 6 a.m., 3 a.m., your behavior does not match what you're saying. Your words and your intention, you said you wanted this, but your behavior is showing me something else. Right. So when you're in a relationship, you see, I want you to be my wife. Okay, cool. He should be treating you as such. He should be stepping into that role prematurely, not blurring the lines, but stepping into that position. Because with anything, there's a developmental process. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, children go from babies, to crawling, to toddlers, and then they grow up to kids and then teenagers. There's a process. So if you want to be my husband or you want her to be your wife, she should be doing things that's going in that process. He should be doing things, his behavior should be going into that process of becoming what he's saying he wants to become.
Right. And it's not so much so of going out as the problem. Going out is not the problem.
It's not
it becomes a problem with, don't question me to where I was at.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes a problem.
Or you can't, like, you're calling, he's not answering the phone. I'm not saying you shouldn't call him every 5 minutes. If you know he's out, let him have a good time. But if it's been a couple hours, you shoot him a text, and maybe he or she may not get back to you right away. Right. But eventually, I'm cool, babe. I'm saying we're here, whatever the case may be. We're not iPhone users, but we do have location on Android. Right. Okay, so if my husband suspiciously turns off his location been on. Like, that's a red flag. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, what are you trying to hide? So that kind of bleeds into our third red flag, which is hiding things. So, like, I just mentioned, like, turning your location off. Like, if your location has been on consistently and then you want to turn it off when you go out, that's suspect. Like, we're gonna call it ace to ace. If he always, cause here's the phone flip. Like, I've had cheating exes that every time the phone would be like this. Why your phone gotta be? Who
Turn
does
over.
that? First of
Turn
all,
over at the
who
dinner
turn their phone over like that? Because you don't want me to see what's popping up on your screen, or you don't want to see who's calling, or whatever the case may be. Hiding things. Some people hide the fact that they have children in relationships. So hiding things is a major red flag for me.
Yeah, I think it's important just to be completely transparent, period, with your partner. And that's why I talked a little bit about earlier the cell phone. Like you mentioned, the cell phone, that's like a big hot spot in a lot of relationships. Like, why does she need to go to my phone? Mm-hmm. Why does she need to know my code to my phone? Why does she need to know this and need to know that? Yeah. It's not so much that they need to know it, because my wife really didn't go through my phone.
No.
But I never gave her a reason to. Like, even, like you said, I told you I didn't want you to have my code, and I have my phone flipped over all the time where you can't see
that suspect.
Being this suspect, and it makes you want to kind of know, well, why does he do that?
Or walking out the room when someone calls, like that's happened too in previous relationships, or like someone calls and they pick up, oh, I'll be back, or they go walk out. Why? Or everywhere they gotta take their phone with them everywhere they go. Like, why are you taking your phone with you everywhere you go? You go into the car to go get some juice. Why you need your phone? You left your, you know what I'm saying? Like, you about to go check the mail. You really need to take your phone. Like, what's going on, sir? Or ma'am? So, yeah, I just feel like hiding things is a huge red flag. Like, especially going out of your way to hide things. It's just like, too much.
All right, so we beat that topic up a little bit, because we kind of, so we'll say the next one, which was number 4, red flag, the way to speak about past relationships, the way you speak on your past relationships.
Talk about that one.
I think that's very important as well, and this kind of going to kind of bleed into another one that we have up there, but I really feel like taking accountability is huge in this particular situation, because all of my past relationships, I try not to speak negatively on that person, because at some point I saw some good in them and I was with them for a reason. So every person is not all bad and they're not a villain. Yeah. I played some part in why we're not together anymore. So I really feel like, in this situation, when it comes to past relationships, it's like, I think when I got with you, it kind of showed like that I really wasn't dogging the person out that I was with. Like, this person's terrible, this person did this person did that. And it was never like what I did or what made the relationship go left. Yeah. Because I don't know about you, but I've been with people that's like, they don't want to talk about what went wrong in their past relationship. And to me, that's kind of suspect too.
Yeah, that's hiding things.
Like, why you don't want to
talk about your ex? What happened?
Right, what happened? Right.
Right.
Something had to happen.
I feel like people be like, I think it's weird because so many people be like, oh, she's talking about her past relationship. I feel like maybe always talking about the person, but it's okay to say, I dated this person and this is why the relationship did not work. There's nothing wrong with that. Right.
And that's not like even saying that you're still in love with the person or any of that. That's just saying to make sure this relationship go start off right on the right foot. Because me and my wife had that conversation, and I think that's why we really lasted. We were compatible, but I think we started off on the right foot as far as let's lay it all out on the table. What went wrong in my last relationship? What I'm looking for? Let's set the expectations from day one. Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of the times where issue comes in.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you don't talk about the past relationship, it makes me feel like you like the person still. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you don't want to talk about your ex? Like, what happened? Like, you that hurt by it? You don't want to speak on the person? Like, to me, if the person is like secretive about their past relationship, something's up. That's a red flag. Like, why you don't want me to know what went left? Like, especially if you like really getting to know the person and you like trying to build something, you kind of need to know. Because is your ex crazy? She gonna come for me? If she see me on the streets, let me know so I can carry some pepper spray or something in my bag if I get rolled up on. Like, I don't got time. But yeah, to me, the way they speak on their past relationship is always an indication of a red flag. If he or she is like dogging their ex and just disrespectful, like she ain't nothing, that this one, and watch how they speak. Are they calling the person out of their name? Are they pointing all the fingers on somebody? Like he said, the lack of accountability. Like if they're not accountable for anything, like you know, like, yeah, maybe the person cheated. Like, yeah, they cheated or whatever the case may be. It just didn't work out. To me, that's a respectful way to go about it. Do you have to go into heavy details? No, you don't have to go into heavy details. However, I feel like how they speak on their past relationships is important. How they speak also on their loved ones, their family members.
Yeah.
Like, you know how the old saying, like, watch how he treat his mama.
Mm-hmm.
That is facts. Like, if your person you're with is like talking about their mama like a low down dirty dog, what you think they're gonna do when y'all don't work out, or when y'all get into some type of disagreement? They're gonna talk about you the same way. So, like, you know, maybe he don't have the best relationship, or she don't have the best relationship with her parents. You know, how does she say it? Like, okay, yeah, my father, you know, he's not around, or my mother's not around, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, I still love my dad or whatever. That's just, we just don't have a good relationship. That's respectful, but, you know, how they're speaking on those relationships is important.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we talked about the lack of responsibility and accountability, kind of.
A little bit, yeah. We talked about that's what I said.
We need to hit that a little bit more, though.
Yeah, it bleed in a little bit, but that's number 5.
Number 5.
5 red flag is lack of responsibility, and I say and accountability.
And
I just feel like this taking and owning whatever may have happened. Like you mentioned in the last relationship, or just in the current relationship you're in, because sometimes you could be in a relationship with someone and they won't want to apologize or want to take accountability. Yeah, I fumbled
the bag. Like, how hard is it to say that?
Right.
Like, I just feel like
I made a mistake.
Yeah. If you spent the rent money, babe, I spent the rent money. I gambled the rent, like whatever it was. Like, you know, like you can't be like, man, see, my boys took me to the casino and they knew that was all. I told them all I had was rent money, and then they didn't care, and I owed Petey $5. So I said, man, I might as well give them $5. I was up about 20, then I lost it all, babe. But why you had to just blame everybody? You spent the $5. You did the damage. It is what it is. You lost the money. Just take accountability for your actions at this point. Accountability, responsibility is, are they responsible? We talked about this in one of our videos. I can't remember which one. If they're responsible, like, are they paying their bills on time? Are they, you know, and let me just piggyback. Like, are they paying their bills on time? And also able to pay their bills on time, but not doing it. Because I think there's a difference. Everybody goes through situations where they don't have money, right? Or they don't have enough, right? But do you have the money, but you're fumbling the bag because you're doing irresponsible things with the money?
Right.
And because if you get married to that person, guess what? That behavior is not going to change just because you're in a relationship with that person. So I would say lack of responsibility is a huge indication. Like, are you taking care of the person? Fellas, stop taking care of these women. Women, stop taking care of these men, because at some point, you know, they should be able to hold it down, at least to some degree.
Yeah, I completely agree. You definitely got to be responsible. Responsibility is one of the number one things just in general. Are they being accountable for their stuff? Like you said, are they paying their bills on time? Are they, you know, do they have a job? If they're in school, are they actually going to class? Or attempting to go to class? You know, are they doing all that they can to make sure that they handle their business? We talk about handling business is very important. And there's a lot of people that just
don't know how to handle business. The older you get, mark my words, the older you get, the more you see that it's grown folk that just don't know how to handle business. They refuse to.
Or don't want to handle
They refuse to. They don't want to handle business. They have no intentions on handling business. They just living life and doing whatever they want to do. Like they children still. So yeah, definitely. And do you want to be with a child? That's really what it's gonna boil down to. Because when the person doesn't have responsibility, you basically are parenting that person. You end up becoming their parent and not their partner. Ooh, that'll preach. That'll preach. Don't be their parent, be their partner. Last but not least, number 6, compromising your morals. And we just talked about this a little bit in the Be Yourself video. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch our video about being yourself in relationships. But compromising your morals is a huge red flag. If you have to try to pretend to be somebody you are not, or you are finding yourself doing things that you would not do, and I'm not saying trying new things. I'm not saying trying to like skydive or something, whatever, you know, like
right.
different adventurous type things. I'm talking about smoking weed. I'm talking about drinking and you know you don't drink. I'm talking about eating red meat and you a vegan. I'm talking about stuff like that.
Risking it all.
Risking it for a biscuit, okay?
Risking it all.
If you out here risking it all, it ain't it. Like, that's a red flag, because the person should truly love you for you and you shouldn't feel pressured to do anything that you don't want to do. Having sex if you a celibate, that's another one. There's a lot of grown people that choose celibacy, or, you know, teenagers maybe watching this. If y'all are with the person and they're pressuring you to do something, you know, and you've made that decision, then that's a decision you made and they should respect that.
Right, I completely agree. Compromising yourself is a huge red flag, because like you said, you have to know who you are. And I feel like that's one of the issues, is a lot of people get in relationships, but they don't know who they are themselves. And I feel like that was one of the things we talked about in our last video. So you guys check it out. Me being rooted and grounded in what I knew who I was.
Yeah.
I knew what I liked. I knew what I didn't like. I knew what I was willing to do and what I wasn't willing to do. Like you said, it's nothing wrong with trying new things, but like you said, are you stepping out of bounds to do this? Or are you just, I'm trying a new food?
Right.
I'm going to go out to the club one time, I'm going to go out just because my partner want to go out and for this occasion. It's one thing to club every weekend. It's another thing to go out on special occasions. So
that's true.
I really feel like compromising yourself is a huge part. And we talked about it in our last video. You're not going to be happy. No. In the end, it's not going to be able to last, because you're going to get tired of compromising yourself.
That's true.
You only can keep up that game for so long before it's like you have enough.
Yeah, enough is enough. So those are our top 6 red flags. If you have your own red flags that we did not mention, put it in the comment section below. If you have a video topic that you want us to talk about, put it in the comment section below, and we will do that video within reason. You know, we working class people around here. We can't be talking crazy. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a video, okay? And we are going to try to get content to you every week if possible. But like I said, if you hit the bell, you won't miss a thing, baby. So thank y'all for watching. I'm Amanda.
I'm Jew.
Peace.
Peace.
Wow.